Patterson blast all that hit. Diving save. Maher as he flashes across. Maher sets up Carl. Side of the net. Deflected. Score! Maher moving in. Stop. Cuts to the middle. Still has it. Shot! Score! Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, what a save! Save by Maher. Got it to him. He's an angle. Short-handed mid. He scores! Up top, cruising his Provorov. He scores! Ivan Provorov!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Flyer Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia, along with my partner, Chris Maher. As always, we live stream on the Painted Lines, TTP Sports, and Flyers Fan Mania 93. And if you tune into this podcast late, live stream, whatever you want to call it, it's always going to be on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts at. So, this past Flyers West Coast road trip was very frustrating. There was a lot of Flyers after dark, a lot of us staying up until, 1, 2 a.m., even though we despise watching these games. And now the Flyers are going even deeper into their COVID problems, which has seen players like Claude Giroux and Ivan Provorov being forced out of the lineup. Now Travis Konecny, Travis Sanheim, they are both out of the lineup after just getting some guys back from COVID protocol, and Scott Laughton, Derek Brassard, and Carter Hart. But the Flyers, they've lost their past 3 straight games to the Kings, to the Sharks, to the Ducks. So they went 1-2-1 on their West Coast road trip. And now we're back home for the first time in a little bit to, as a COVID-depleted team right now, going up against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are really not missing anybody besides guys like Evgeny Malkin still.
And
they are... Yeah, they've won 9 in a row. They're on the midst possibly winning 10 straight games against the Reading Royals tonight. That's what it feels like at this point. It's been a very frustrating Flyers stretch, and now this COVID, protocol stuff with the Flyers. And I know Carter Hart expressed his frustration in the game against the Ducks, which I can very understand why he feels that way. But it just, with the way they've been playing, plus all this stuff being put on COVID protocol, it doesn't make it any less frustrating with the way they're playing.
No, not at all. I mean, I was pretty happy after that Seattle win. Honestly, I was. I know it was a bad game, but it was their first in like 11 days at that point, and they came back and they won a game like that. And I was like, all right, let's take it into San Jose, and they got a point there. Then I was thinking to myself, okay, this might change against LA. I didn't really mind their game against LA. It was just every time the Kings had somewhat of a threat in the offensive zone, the puck went in. And, the Flyers get that crazy challenge on the they get that crazy goal where they make they pulled the goalie on the power play, and it was like a 6-on-4 at that point. Hayes just creeps in and scores it on one time, and there's I think there was 17 minutes left in the period. They're only down by 2. They can make this a game in, pretty quick. And then of course, as I say, that quick is fantastic for the rest of the game and really all of that game. And they got goalied, and then they got goalied in Anaheim too. But it's frustrating when you get goalied 2 games in a row. You're not scoring on the opportunities you have. You just lost Giroux and Provorov the day after you lose Konecny and Sanheim. It's just like a whirlwind of everything that could go wrong for them right now is going wrong. It sounds like last year all over again. And last year, the Lake Tahoe game, they played without 6 regulars. Tonight, they're playing without 6 regulars. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think it's going to bode well in their favor at all.
Especially against a fully healthy Penguins lineup for the most part.
Yeah. The only thing that would help tonight is Carter Hart has to stand on his head. Would have to have probably a 40 save game.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to score on special teams if they get it, score as many chances as they can. I mean, it's not like they can't win, because they can. But it's highly, highly unlikely that they at least take it to them. If they win, say like they did against Seattle, where they're outplayed majority of the game and against the overtime or something, and it's like a 1-1 game and they win, then sure, that's fine. But looking at their lineup and looking at the lines, dude, I really just want to go over these quickly because they really just
Here, I'll bring them up on the screen for you to
yeah
make it easier so everyone
yeah.
can see this.
So this is a tweet from Jordan Hall this morning. You got Farabee with Lawton and Atkinson, Broussard with Frost and Van Riemsdyk, Bonneman with Hayes and Willman, and Lindblom with Brown and McEwen. I'm going to start with the forwards for a minute. First of all, you have Broussard coming back in the lineup. So Broussard comes back at a good time when they're already down a handful of guys. So that's good. But again, they're missing Giroux, Provorov, Konechny, Sanheim, Ellis, Couturier, all the other guys. He's playing second line. I'm not really sure I like that, honestly, because, again, he's only been practicing for a while, and he was practicing basically back when the Vegas game kind of started, and even before that, he was practicing here and there, and he would join the team. But that was it. He hasn't seen many game action since, I believe, the 23rd or 4th, around there. I know one of the game that they announced he got injured was the Carolina game on Black Friday. So it's been a while since Broussard has been in the lineup, and I'm not too sure if I like him playing on the second line because, again, he hasn't necessarily played much in a while. Bonneman on the third line, I think, is not the right move. The fact that Oscar Lindblom, Brown, and McEwen are still playing the fourth line when those guys could be playing, higher in the lineup right now because and at least get rewarded for the way that they've been playing. Guys like Lindblom, guys like McEwen, guys like Brown. Obviously, I know that they are fourth line guys, but when you have this crazy, guys leaving the lineup and everything, and the whole COVID thing, you might be able to switch some things around. And I personally would again. I've talked about it so many times. Lindblom is not going to give you anything on the fourth line. You might as well scratch him at this point if you're going to keep doing it to him. The defense. York, Braun, I thought York was fantastic last game. I thought he played good with Braun. That's fine. So Mullin versus the line, and I'm excited to see. And the only regular in here is Yandel and Connaughton. So that should be fun. And my guess
Big
is
whoop.
Yeah.
Big whoop.
And Carter Hart and that, obviously. It's going to be an interesting game. And this is also an ESPN Hulu game. So now when I come home from work tonight, I have to sit here and try to find a stream to rewatch this game, if depending on the score, and watch the Flyers. I should say half of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms take on the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight on a stream, by the way, because this game had to be out of all the games this season. This game had to be the ESPN Plus and Hulu exclusive. So
it's talking about that. It's a good thing for you when you come home. A good stream website to watch this game. Good old NHL66.ir. That's a really good place to stream all the games, and you can actually rewind and fast forward on that. So that's actually a good motive right there. Thank God I do have season tickets, so I can I don't have to worry about watching the Hulu exclusive game. It's weird too. I think every exclusive game the Flyers have this year to Hulu/ESPN Plus, I think they're all home games this year.
They are.
So hopefully thank God I don't have to worry about that for the near future.
It was like the one preseason game in the beginning of the year that was just radio. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But the Flyers only dressed like...
Oh, yeah, I think it was one of the games against the Islanders or something like that.
I think it was in an AHL arena. Yeah.
That's probably why it wasn't on television.
Yeah, because they didn't have a spot for a camera or something like that.
Yeah, I think the only thing they did was like live stream it on the Islanders feed or something like that, their website or their Twitter, I believe. I barely remember the entire thing, but I think that's what happened. But yeah, just looking at this past stretch of Flyers hockey, just frustrating COVID stuff. It doesn't make it any less frustrating. You lose 4-1 to the Anaheim Ducks, who are missing their own good amount of people in that lineup, and the Ducks. It still felt like the Ducks ran all over them. And also, you can't credit John Gibson, played amazing for Anaheim. LA, out of this entire road trip, I thought LA was probably the best Flyers game, and they still lost 6-3 because I felt like the Flyers it felt like a more evenly matched game. But like you said, Chris, it felt like everything for the Kings was just going in the net for them. Yeah. Martin Jones definitely did not play his best game on that day, and Jonathan Quick, his numbers against the Flyers are just unbelievable. With every freaking great goaltender against the Flyers, their numbers are going to be great against Philadelphia. but it just sucks. It just sucks to see that, even though it's like this entire season has been frustrating, but like you go back, 10-game losing streak. Now the Flyers have lost 3 straight games. Now they're going through a COVID problem, and it just feels like, oh God, how much longer is this streak going to last? Because okay, the 10-game losing streak, they were playing bad hockey, but now this stretch, they're missing a lot of guys in the lineup, and credit too. There's many more teams that are dealing with worse than the Flyers. The Flyers are not the only team in this league dealing with COVID issues. They're not the only team in this league dealing with injuries. It still doesn't make it any less frustrating. It's just one of those points you got to bring up. But
yeah, and just to show how shorthanded they are, McEwen is the net front guy on the second power play unit. So that is to show you how just they have no one. They literally have no one, because 2 of the guys that normally would be call-ups in Jackson, Cates, and Sealer, they got put on the COVID protocol as well. And the whole thing with it is that obviously I know Carter Hart mentioned his frustration and everything, and I don't blame him, because I personally don't agree with it either. I talked about it before, and it seems like a lot of people are towards that boat, that why are they doing this? Because they seem like to be the only professional sports league that is doing it that way. The NFL isn't doing it that way. At least they've changed it from what I've heard. But yeah, I mean, look, if they can find a way to make it where the teams aren't losing as many guys at one time like the Flyers are right now, and I'm sure there are other teams, but it's not fun when the Flyers are basically going to have to play probably their next 2 to 3 games with a very similar lineup that they have tonight, because depending on the way that, even if it's a 5-day span, you're in the protocol, it doesn't mean you're going to be coming back if you're off of it, because you still could be dealing with symptoms or whatever. Like Lawton didn't have any symptoms. Frost felt like he had some. Hayes didn't. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many different things. And if they're at least able to get that to where they get certain guys back at a certain time, then that's probably better for them. But right now it's tough.
the one thing that I found hilarious on the Tuesday game against Anaheim, this was before the game actually. Did you see that a Flyers Nation tweet from Claude Giroux's wife's, I think, Instagram account, saying that he was trying to find a game, he couldn't even find it?
Yeah, he got blacked out of his own, of the league he plays in.
Yeah, because I think he was trying to watch it on ESPN Plus. He wasn't able to find it there because of the local blackout, and for some reason, the hotel in Anaheim did not have a local broadcast for the game, which was just, that even shows you how much right now Anaheim does not care about the Ducks.
And it's also the problem with the league, why they
black out games.
They should not have blackout issues.
It's the same issue with baseball. They do the same thing.
Yeah,
I don't know why it happens.
It's the same thing with like using clips and using highlights. Like if you're if you're someone like us, right, and we wanted to show a clip, the fact that we can't go on there and actually describe what we're talking about at the same time and use the clip of what we're talking about, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Because again, like they want to grow the game and everything else, but we're not allowed to show the clip. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I feel you there, but just the one thing that did, I don't know, I think it was like over this case of the West Coast road trip, to where I think it was just staying up late watching this team. Like I can tolerate watching this team like at normal 7-8 o'clock time games. I think it was when it's like 10 o'clock 10:30 games where it's just like, oh God, why do I have to stay up to watch this? And it's just like, I don't know. I think it just like snapped in my mind. It's just like, oh God, why does Anaheim have all these exciting players? Like the stadium was literally empty in that game. Like I saw, I think it was Jordan Hall that posted on Twitter, or Charlie O'Connor. Like someone sent them a photo like at the game, and the arena was literally empty.
Yeah, you sent me that. It was literally empty. And that's the thing. I mean, the Ducks, I feel like, have always had attendance problems, going back to even when they were in like a Western Conference final. I mean, it looked like they would have playoff games and they won't even sell out.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do hate, because you have a lot of these West Coast teams that have like a lot, like more in the United States, but they have a lot of young and exciting talent, but people just don't go to the games because they don't care.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Like when you see,
I remember years people would argue, "Oh, well, the Angels are playing across the street."
The Angels don't get anyone.
Been good in God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't argue that.
and they don't play at the same time.
No, they
So
don't.
I don't even know why that's an argument either.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, like this was a couple years ago, and it was in the summer. It was a playoff game, and the Angels were playing at the same time, but it still didn't make sense because
it shouldn't.
it just that does not make sense to me. I don't know if the arena is in a weird spot, but I do know, like the Panthers, for example, their arena is like an hour outside of like where their fan base is.
Yep.
So that would make sense. And they're still drawing a crowd because they're playing good. But dude, if they put that in Miami, that probably would have been sold out when they were bad
Even
because it's Miami.
Miami or Orlando, either
Yeah,
or.
either or. I mean, it's probably why the Magic have a decent crowd. They're right in. They're not far from Disney World.
Yeah, it's just some of these markets too, and it also like brings me to like I know this is going off topic here, but I've had a conversation with one of my buddies. Like he doesn't like it when the NHL tries to expand to like some of these like weird cities. Like I know one of the more I think favorited teams in like the next few years, if the NHL were to expand again, to like one of the favorite cities to get one would be Houston. And he was just like, why the fuck would Houston get a sit? Why would they get a hockey team? That sounds terrible. It's just like, because like Vegas, I think when you were expanding there, you had to have a really good team out of the get go. I think if Vegas had a bad team, like, the Kraken are the best team right now, but I think for right now, the Kraken, it works because Seattle's wanted a hockey team for so long. So I think that's the reason why it works.
That was rumored for years. Like I feel like that went back. That was like 3 years. I kind of felt like Seattle. We were hearing about Seattle right after Vegas.
Yep.
Was a team, and it always made sense for them to go there because it's a good sports town. It's a good it has a good environment to it, and it just seems like it seems like it would be a good hockey city. And the other thing too is that they have a natural rivalry.
Yep.
With Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too.
Yeah, now that they renovated the arena now, so now Climate Pledge Arena, you can have hockey there now. I'm assuming they're going to try, if the NBA ever decides, move a team or even expand or something like that. I have no idea if they're going to bring back the Supersonics. So I wonder if that's going to be a bid for Seattle. But like, I can definitely like it does feel, when the NHL tries to push it to these like odd locations for NHL cities like Arizona, for instance, the Coyotes. That's right now it's still looking like one of the worst experiments in the league, just because they've really really only had like one really successful season where they got to the conference finals, and it's really been crap ever since. But Gary Bettman is still like very persistent of keeping the Coyotes in Arizona.
Yeah.
To where I know there's been like so many talks about like they've had so many issues, like, earlier this year where what was it when the Flyers were about to play there, that there was that news to where they didn't pay their taxes, to where they almost got locked out of their arena because of that.
Yeah.
And they're having so many issues with the city of Glendale keeping their arena. So it's just like they're having so many issues trying to find like a permanent place to play. I think they're not even going to be in the arena this year that they're playing in after this year.
Yeah.
They might be moving to another one.
Really? Are they going to be building one?
I'm not sure if they're building one or they're just trying to find one. That's the issue. Yeah. I just don't like Arizona's
getting the other thing. Glendale is like an hour outside of the city in Arizona.
Yeah.
And Shane Doan had talked about that on Spit and Chicklets a couple years back. Like if they move that arena, they would probably get more people. And if they put it in the heart of the city, they would get more people. And that's how it is. Like even with Philly, all of them are in the same spot. You have the casino.
It's easy to get to.
The street. Yeah, it's easy to get to sometimes. When there's brutal traffic and they decide to put an Eagles game at the same night of the Flyers game, I don't think that's going to be easy to get to.
Oh yeah, but if I-95 decides to be graceful with traffic.
If I were you, dude, I'd go down early. Or I mean, you take a different way, but
yeah, I walk there.
Yeah, you walk. Like, how come you never thought of riding a bike or like an electric scooter? Make it a little quicker, but it's not walking.
I'd rather walk.
You'd rather walk? Okay.
I'd rather walk. This is easier.
I thought you were going to say you didn't have an electric scooter.
I also don't have an electric scooter. That's also one of the answers there.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I really don't know what to say about this game tonight. I don't have any sort of prediction because I don't think that they're well. I guess that is a prediction. I
Well,
don't think the Flyers are going to win.
This is kind of going to be the sucky thing too, because I think today, it just got posted by Flyers Nation. This is Ed Snyder would have turned 89 today, so
Yeah.
that would really suck. The Flyers losing, especially when they don't have their full lineup against the Penguins on his birthday. That would really suck.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really suck. It's just. And also, Jordan Hall just posted the Penguins in their last 9 games. So during this 9-game win streak, they are, of course, 9-0-0. They have 8 wins in regulation. They are scoring above 4 goals a game. They are allowing exactly 2 goals a game, and their goal differential is a +21.
That's wonderful.
Oof. And then the first comment I see on this is, good thing they get to play the Phantoms tonight, too.
Yeah.
So we got a question here from Jason saying, did they give a reason as to why it's only on ESPN Plus and Hulu? That's something the NHL has been doing this entire season, to where specific games throughout the course of the year, like every team
It's
gets
so
their
that-
exclusive, ESPN Plus.
And
Hulu
it's so
game.
that people buy it.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so if you don't have ESPN Plus or Hulu, NHL66.ir is a very good website to use to watch the game. It's free, and they stream literally every game on any broadcast you want to watch. So that is something that
Yeah,
is
I
good.
really hope it works because
It'll work. It'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even get to pick up the feeds from the ESPN Plus games. I've seen that before, so you shouldn't have a problem with that website.
Yeah, I don't think I will. I've used it before, mostly used on Hockey TV for other things like the KHL and the SHL and things like that.
So we got a question also from or just a statement from Soto, actually, saying, if the NHL doesn't postpone this game, we can confirm that they hit the Flyers. Well, I agree with some points there, but I think the league has seen their share of postponed games. Like, yes, I think it should be. This is a game that should be postponed, but I feel like the NHL is like trying, scramble to reschedule so many games, especially during that pause in February, to where I guess they don't want to postpone the game or something like that. I have no idea, unless we hear even more talk about, positive tests in the Flyers, or even the Penguins get any positive tests. Who knows if the NHL decides to make something there. But that's something that we have to wait and see. Then we got Robert saying, hey, guys, it's Flyer Bob here. They should just stop the league for a month or two, or in the case of the Flyers, until next year. I was so excited for this year, and it has turned into a complete nightmare. Man, dude, I agree with you. I agree with you. Pause the Flyers for the next 2 years until they figure it the hell out. My God. give them the automatic first overall picks. Just give it to us so we can draft Shane Wright and Connor Bedard, so we can reset our franchise. I would gladly take that, but you never know. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see on Twitter if there's any new things, because I know the Flyers were practicing earlier. I'm not sure when they're going to be doing their COVID test, or when we're going to hear anything about COVID
I don't
tests.
think we are. I think the lineup for the game, or the lineup for practice, is the lineup for the game.
Okay. So it's just, I don't, because it's weird though, because when we were in the West Coast road trip, we weren't really, because I can understand the time difference there. So we weren't really hearing about, positive tests. I think it wasn't until like 3 or 4 o'clock or something like that. So I think that's what you got to handle for. So I guess if there is anything like that, you'll probably won't hear about that until, maybe the afternoon, because right now it is 11:30. That's like just right at the brink of the afternoon start. So you never know what happens. But like Chris said, I doubt anything is going to happen, just because it's the luck of the Flyers at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that would be the only update for today, and hopefully that is. Don't want to lose anybody else. I'm trying to think.
And here's a good point right here by Anthony Sanfilippo that he just posted on Twitter. He says he can't help but be annoyed that the NHL would cancel more games because of attendance restrictions, but won't cancel them because of the league mandated protocols resulting in depleted rosters, creating unfair matchups on the ice. It reeks of only caring about the bottom line and not the product. I can understand that.
Do you want to suit up on D tonight?
No.
Ron Fitzpatrick asked us. You want to play right or left side?
Can I be the buddy for Carter Hart in net? Can we both tend to net?
Yeah, you take the guy with the puck. I'll just stand in front of Carter.
Gotcha.
And
Man, I don't want to get freaking dangled out by Crosby. I really don't want to be. I don't want to get put on my ass.
let's get there early so we can at least tape our sticks right, and then we can at least try to learn to skate for about 2 hours.
Can I get away with? Can I get away with an illegal curve?
I think so. I think he could, yeah.
Will they give me a break just because I'm a guy off the streets?
Maybe.
I
Or
need
they'll
some
just
type
be
of
like,
advantage.
yeah, you guys don't have enough players. It's okay.
Okay. We got a Stan saying he predicts a 3-2 Flyers win. Hat trick for Atkinson. Let's stream. If only you can put that into reality. I hope that would be the case. And also, going back to the beginning of this comment section from Renee saying he spent $131 for club seats at the Shark Tank. It looked like the Flyers were playing the 2-minute Vantage power play in slow motion live. And to his comment, OMG, what the freaking holy hell. Glad at least to get a crappy point out of it. Yeah, going back to that San Jose game, like that was like the only really time where I was just like, okay, I understand the circumstances. You're just coming off the break. I'll take the point. You have 3 points in your in the
Yeah,
back.
that's how I felt against Seattle and everything else. And then I felt the same, like not the same way against LA, but like I was like, all right, like they're playing good. And then I was like, okay, let's take this in Anaheim. And then they lose Gene Provorov, and I'm like, oh my God. So that just made it even worse.
Yeah, Sean Fitzpatrick says this is going to be ugly tonight. Check that. Oh, I believe you, Sean.
No,
I
it
do.
will be ugly. There's
Yes.
a difference. It will be ugly. There is no, it can be. It will be ugly.
Yes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to be ugly. Sean, if we are lacing tonight, this is like your decision on this. Are we allowed to use illegal curves on our sticks to get some type of advantage against the opposition? We got Cole Drew in the comment section saying, honestly, I haven't been really watching these guys since the start of the 10-game losing streak. Love having the season ticket holders hate watching the game.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I hate. I
Is
just
your
can't.
dad?
Yeah, he's like he really hasn't been watching. Well, he has been watching when he goes up to bed watching the late night games. But I think the Anaheim game he shut it off after the second period because he just fell asleep. So it's at this point like I can understand some people like having their slither of hope just because of where the Flyers technically are in the standings because they are technically behind.
Realistically, that's the only thing we have to worry about.
Yeah, like they
You know
are
what I mean?
they are behind in the wild card. They're Boston right now. They're in the second wild card spot, 36 points. The Flyers are 4 points behind them, 3 points behind Detroit, who is above them with 35 points. But the one thing that is the thing with Boston, they have 4 games in hand. They have 5 games in hand on Detroit, 4 games in hand on the Flyers. So there's something to talk about there. And I don't know. It's just like, yeah, the Flyers can fight their way towards the end of the season, possibly get that wild card spot. But it's just like, in my reaction is just like, we're going through this same shitty roller coaster again. I'm just tired of watching that. I'm tired of having to scrape our way to try to get into the playoffs in like a final wild card spot or something like that. Then just get our asses kicked in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find it worth it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the games in hand don't really mean anything until you win. I mean, anybody could have a game in hand, and that's not just saying that because it's Flyers bias. That's legitimately how it is, and it's the same thing with the playoffs. I mean, if you get in, you can have any chance to win. And look, I don't see the Flyers doing much in the playoffs if they get there. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. We'll talk about that when that happens. I mean, anything can happen. They are very close, and there's still a lot of season left for that to happen, and they still obviously need guys to get healthy and come back as well. But I really don't know because my patience is pretty thin, and as everybody kind of knows, my thing is I'm pretty positive guy about this team. I'm really struggling to kind of continue to find the positives every night. Like I'm really find certain ones in different areas, but like the Anaheim game kind of deflated a lot of what I was thinking for the trip overall. If they won that game, I probably would have felt better about it, honestly. But look, it's tough because I think it's just even harder. Like I feel like this year's even harder than last year because you have a team that's coming off of such a disappointing year. You do all that in the offseason. You bring in all those guys. You even fired the coach and everything. You basically did a major overhaul and the offseason and a good chunk of through the season, and you're still struggling. And now you're losing guys. You're injured. It's all of it. It's just it's a mess. The entire thing is a mess. And I seriously don't know how the game is postponed tonight. I really don't. And it's not even the fact that like they're playing, like even if the Penguins were having this problem, I even would have said to postpone the game because it's not fair. I mean, they're going up against a team that's won 9 in a row and has played really well and haven't really been hit with COVID too hard. And the Flyers are getting smacked with it right now, and they weren't necessarily playing good before that either. So it is what it is.
So Mike Yeo just spoke to the Flyers media right after practice ended, so it was live a little bit ago. It's a little over 5 minutes, so I might as well bring it up for you guys to hear what Mike Yeo has to say. So let me get the share screen up. Let me get the audio there. Let me bring this up. So here we go. And here we go, guys. It's Mike Yeo, coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, talking after practice.
Adam Kimmelman, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mike. I know you said you wanted to get Derek Brassard into a practice before you put him into a game, but are you sort of at the point now where you just don't have that luxury?
Yeah, I would say we're definitely reached that point, Adam. And the good news is it's not like he hasn't been skating. Shell Samuelson was doing a good job putting him through the paces back here. And I know the skates were challenging for him. Again, in a perfect world, would have had the opportunity to get him in there and compete and battle and get involved with the group. Number one, we don't have the bodies. Number two, we haven't had the practices. I think that we've had 3 practices since I've taken this position, 3 full practices, just the way this schedule has been. So unfortunately, we're not living in a perfect world right now, and he'll be in tonight. And the good thing is that he is a player that plays with his head a lot too. And so I don't expect it to be a real difficult, transition for him. And I think he'll get in there quickly and find his game.
Olivia Reiner, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Hi, Mike. How are, I guess, all of your players that are currently in COVID protocols, and especially the guys that tested or entered protocols on the West Coast, are they still out there, or were you able to get them back here?
They're on their way back today, so we're able to get them back, but and get them back safely. But I'll say that none of them have any symptoms. At least last I had talked, I haven't talked to anybody today, but my last conversation with them was that they're all symptom free. So, but I haven't heard anything today.
Jordan Hall, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Hey, Mike. We talk about next man up mentality so much in hockey. Does this kind of epitomize that?
It does, Jordan. Yeah, it's you know what? I think that there's not a lot of people out there that are going to feel sorry for us that we have people out of the lineup. And the bottom line is that 2 points are being awarded for this game tonight. I certainly know that our opponent's not going to feel sorry for us. Obviously, it's been probably the best team in the league over the last little while. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a great challenge. It's a great opportunity. It's the bigger the challenge, the greater the opportunity. And we need guys to step up, and we need guys to step up with strong individual games, and not play just to blend in, but play to make a difference, play to win a hockey game here tonight. And obviously collectively as a team, we have to be real strong in our team game.
Phil Meltzer, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Mike, you had the opportunity a little bit to work with Igor Zamula, and I'm curious as to what your observations on his game are, and also what has been the feedback on his recent progress with the Phantoms.
Yeah, he's been playing well. That's the feedback that we got. And in my experience, he's got a lot of qualities that you like for NHL defensemen, whether it's his skating ability, his poise, obviously his range with his reach and his stick, being a big man, still learning how to, the strength and the compete that you need at the NHL level. But I definitely believe that can be learned, and that can be, something that he grows into. But but again, as far as so much of this game, we're going to play against a team that's a high pressure team. They're going to get on you. They're going to challenge you on the forecheck. When you do recover a puck and you're in D zone coverage, they're going to be very quick to get on you. And that's where the execution of your defenseman is so critical, for you to be able to relieve that pressure, to get out of your zone, whether it's to get off the ice or to get on the attack. And he has certainly shown an awful lot of that ability. So that's what we'll be looking for from him tonight.
Okay, we'll do 2 more questions. Charlie O'Connor, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Hey, Mike. Just wanted to ask you about Kevin Hayes. Obviously right now you guys are out quite a few centers. Sean Couturier, obviously, Claude Giroux can play center and whatnot. I would assume in a perfect world, he'd be a guy who would take on, a significantly larger workload. But is there an understanding on your part that, given the surgeries, given the fact that he's surely not at 100%, that you still have to kind of limit his minutes despite, the situation at hand?
Yeah. Yes and no, Charlie. I mean, I think it's sort of, an individual game feeling or read. But I know that we'll be leaning on him tonight for sure. We've surrounded him with a couple guys that are going to work and they're going to check. And hopefully they're going to recover pucks and get him the puck. Obviously we know that he's been battling with stuff, but he has been a warrior and he's a competitor. And I talked to him today and he feels really good. So I'm going into this game with the mindset that he's going to be ready to go and we're ready to lean on him.
And last question, Olivia Reiner, you're on with Coach. Go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Jerry Mayhew wasn't out on the ice today. Is he back in Lehigh, or is there something else going on with him?
I don't know if there's been a formal transaction made or not. He's not in the lineup today. He was here this morning. I'm not 100% sure if there was a transaction made or not, but he's not going here tonight.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that was Mike Yost. So he brought up some interesting points, mainly just a lot of the questions based on,
Game,
yeah, COVID and all that crap. And I think it's weird too, because I asked this question to myself like on Tuesday about like the players that were tested positive for COVID when they were in Anaheim. Like, do those guys stay in Anaheim the entire time?
Yeah.
Do they have to stay in the hotel? It's just like
I think I think if it's going off of last year, you'd stay where it happens.
And I'm like, gee, well, at least Claude Giroux got to stay in California for a little bit, but it's just like, what do I do here? I can't leave my hotel room. I can't do anything. It just that sounds horrible to when you have to go through crap like that. And I think
I'm just glad that these guys are at least on their way back now, because we might see them back Saturday.
Yeah, we might. That is something.
One thing that we didn't talk about that was brought up the other day was Ellis, and how he's basically making little to no progress.
Yep.
And look, I am unbelievably frustrated in the entire Ellis thing. Not even the fact that the season hasn't gone great, but the Ellis thing is very aggravating to me. The fact that you have this guy, right, and you go out and you trade for him. And I'm not going to sit here and say they shouldn't have traded for him and Fletcher didn't realize this and that, because obviously the injury isn't the same injury that he had in any of the injuries in Nashville, if that was easy to follow along with. He's hurt with the groin injury, right? And if it was bad and he missed a couple preseason games because of it, and they didn't know if he was going to be ready for opening night, then why did he play? Why did he play against Vancouver? Why did he play against Seattle? Because he didn't even play the next game against Boston. And he played one game after that, and it was Dallas.
Yep.
And he's played, what, 4 games?
I think 4 or 5 games so far.
4 or 5 games, something like that. Like, it to me, it's like if he was having an issue, because the organization has already come out and basically openly said that they'd rush Kevin Hayes back. We already heard that. We heard that before with Hayes. So I wouldn't be shocked if it happened with Ellis. And why do you think it took Brassard so long?
Because they didn't want to rush him.
Because at first, remember when he was day-to-day? Then they said he was week-to-week.
And now Couturier is week-to-week too.
Yeah, Coots is week-to-week, and to me, Coots looks like he's been playing with an injury the entire season.
Yeah, I think he has been.
Yeah,
I think even Yo said that he's been playing with injury all year.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a bunch of stuff, upper body, lower body. So I'm curious to see on how many injuries he comes up with at the end of the season. It's just mind-boggling to me how the amount of times they've shot themselves in the foot with the injuries, with these guys not being able to play, not having a full lineup, and rushing guys back in a year where even if you're rushing guys back, you still have COVID. That's an issue too. So they can even get taken out because of that. So you might as well try to make it where you're at least having these guys as healthy as possible, or at least give them the time, because clearly they've obviously opened up and said that they've rushed guys back. We saw that with Hayes, again, Brassard. So it's a problem to me. And then now Brassard is going to come back and he's going to play second line minutes.
He might get injured again.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So why are you? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sort of sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if you're again, if you're trying to find a way, and Yoda makes a great point, regardless of how anybody wants to take it. Tonight is a very good challenge for them because they are down a lot of players. They're down a lot of normal guys that would be in the lineup, a lot of normal forwards, and you're playing up against one of the best teams in the league. It doesn't look great on paper, but anything can happen. And look, I don't think the Flyers are going to win, but I'm just trying to be
this is really a game to where some of your younger guys are now getting called up. Some of your more, highly touted guys in the prospect system. You got York playing with Braun. You got Zamula playing with Ristolainen. That this is going to be a huge game for them to solidify, to say, okay, we want to take this moment and we want to run with it. The same thing for Morgan Frost, honestly.
Could you imagine if this game sparked them to win like 15 in a row or something unbelievably crazy?
Oh, God.
Could you just imagine that?
I honestly, yes, because Flyers, but I don't.
Yeah.
But even still, I think this is a huge game for both York and Zamula, just to, showcase what they can do now, because I do think York, like you said, in Anaheim, I think he played really good in a season debut, especially in his hometown. And the one question I do have because I know York hasn't really had the best season down in Lehigh Valley. I know he's dealt with injury. He's dealt with COVID too. But yet his numbers really aren't the best, and he really hasn't, looked that good. Yeah. But I think do you think if York has a really good stretch when he plays up here, do you think it's he's the type of player to where he just doesn't work in the AHL? He's more better suited for the NHL? Do you think it's that type of situation? Because there are scenarios where players don't work in the AHL, but they play a lot better up in the NHL.
Yeah. I mean, I personally feel like if York's up here, I think he's up here to stay, if I'm being honest. If he plays well. If he continues to play like he did, then he'll be fine. Because last year he had he only had 3 games. It was a very small sample size, and it was only, it was the last 3 games of the season. And it was also 3 different games where he played 3 different ways. He looked really good in one. He looked really off in the other. It got better as the game progressed, and then the other one he was so. He was okay. He had a solid game overall, but he had a really good debut this year. And one thing that I had seen on Twitter, I don't know how true it is, but someone had said that they were looking to see him play more physically off the puck. And when I see Troy Terry walk around Sanheim and score the second goal, completely walk by him, and then I see Cam York break up the play 1-on-1 and then take him to the wall, that is the play where I'm like, okay, that's what Sanheim needs to do, for one. And 2, that's what they've been talking about with York. Now, again, I don't know how true that is. I don't know what they've seen and what the organization likes with York. And I'm not going to sit here and make it like I do, but that's just what I had seen on Twitter. And the thing is with York then is I personally think if it's a similar situation like Frost, because I don't think Frost is going back down. I think Frost is an NHL player. I think York could stay up here. And it also depends on the whole Keith Yandel thing, and also Kevin Cannon, because they could easily keep Yandel in the lineup if they wanted to, and put York in if you wanted to do it that way. So I don't know what they do. because again, you still have Sealer out, who is the replacement if, say, Connaughton gets hurt or something like that, or same thing with Yandel. But that's the thing. It's like, what do you do? Because you still have Sanheim out, and that would have been Zamula, and then you have York, who's already up here. So, like, there's so many different avenues, but I would like to see York stay up here, dude. I mean, I think
I hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see him.
Because the attitude level towards Keith Yandel is just getting lower and lower and lower as the games go on. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he's been brutal. Don't get me wrong, but he's made some good plays the last couple of games. I mean that play for the Farabee goal against San Jose. He had a couple good plays in the LA game. I honestly didn't think he was horrible against the Ducks. I thought he had one of his best games in a while, and I know the thing is with Yandel is the power play, and even when the power play isn't producing, it's like, you know what I mean. It just doesn't bode well for him. And
The
I know a lot
one
of
thing
people have given up on him.
the one thing I don't like is, I think it goes back to the Anaheim game. I feel like Keith Yandel forces shots when they aren't there. So, at the end of the
He does that
Anaheim
with
game,
passes too.
yeah, because at the end of the Anaheim game, they pulled the goaltender, and they were going on that 5-on, what was it, 5-on-3, 6-on something when it was 4-on-4, they made it 5-on-4, I believe, and it looked like one of the best Flyers power plays that wasn't a power play the entire year, where they were passing the puck with ease. Farabee was getting so many one-timers on the right side, but it felt like Yandel, it just like there was a guy that was directly right in front of him, and he still shot the puck, and the guy blocked it with ease. I'm just like, Yandel, what are you doing? You just wait. I know you guys were out there for like 2+ minutes, but you don't do that. Try to pass the puck to someone, or just like force Gibson to make a save to cover the puck.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, there were people who were saying that it was dumb to trip the guy at the other end. I'm like, if he doesn't trip him there, he's either going to turn around and fire that right in the empty net, and it's 4-1 2 minutes before it was 4-1 originally, or he's going to pass it to the other duck that was creeping in on the other side. So he pretty much had to take that penalty regardless. I would have rather him taken that penalty instead of watching the guy shoot the puck in the empty net. So that's the other thing.
Do you also think that at the end of that Anaheim game, do you think that Travis Konechny actually embellished that penalty?
No, that was a horrible call. And I personally thought the Flyers got boned a lot in the third. There was a lot of missed calls on the Flyers in that third period. A handful of hooks. There was a trip on, I believe it was this game. No, it was I believe it might have been the Kings. I think it was the Kings, or it might have been the San Jose game, but there was a trip on JVR, and then there was a penalty that was called like not even a minute later that the Flyers got a power play off of. But yeah, dude, there was definitely a couple that the Flyers should have. They should have had at least one power play opportunity. They had one that was like 30 seconds because it was negated with a 4-on-4, but that was it. It felt like there was a lot of times the Flyers didn't get many calls, and there was a couple hooks, couple holds that I had mentioned, and I was like, how do you not call that? There was, I think Konechny at one point got tripped, and I was like, and me and my dad were screaming for a call. Like, come on, like, because it was in the third, they were only down by 2 at that point, and that could have been something, but it's ones like that where it's frustrating because if you can get a power play opportunity to have your best players on the ice.
Renee said it was the Sharks game that you're talking about.
The Sharks game. There's ones where you might be able to get a goal there and make it an easier game, and I think that's a big thing for the game tonight is special teams. If the Flyers can have a good PK, and if they stay disciplined, they have a good shot. And the other thing is, if they at least get power play opportunities to have the best players on paper on the ice, they might be able to get goals. And if they can do that, then again, anything can happen. I mean, I don't want to sit here and make it like I think they're going to win, but I'm not exactly excited for this game. I don't think you are either, because you have the great joy of going to this game.
No.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal. I really do think it's going to be brutal.
And then also going back to Travis Konechny, I know he's been one of the more, I would say in the past, couple of years, he's been one of the more frustrating players to watch just because he's struggling to score goals over the past couple of seasons, especially dating back to the bubble. But when I look at Konechny right now, so he has 19 points in 33 games. He got 5 goals, 14 assists. But when I look at his shooting percentage, he's only shooting 5.4% of the time. He is not taking that many shots. Even though if I look at the rest of the team, he has the second most shots, but for some reason his shooting percentage is 5.4. So I don't know if that means he's missing the net more often than not. He's getting snake bitten. I just don't understand, because this is probably the lowest his shooting percentage has ever been in his career, I believe.
He has missed the net a lot. That's going back to the beginning of the season.
Because last year his shooting percentage was 11% exactly, and then in the 1920 season, where he was one of the best players on 16? The team, his shooting percentage was 17%.
17, yeah.
And I think his average is 12.4, if I believe. That's his average shooting percentage.
How many shots on net does he have?
He has 94 this year.
That's not much.
But
games.
But if I look through the rest of the team as well, so right now the person with the most shots on goal obviously is Cam Atkinson. He has 94. Konechny actually has 92 with a 5.4 shooting percentage, but Cam Atkinson has 94 shots with a 13.8 shooting percentage. Claude Giroux, he has 84 shots this year, 13.1 percentage shooting. Sean Couturier, he has a 7.6 per shooting percentage with 79 shots. JVR, he has a 10.6 shooting percentage with 66. Keith Yandel has a 0 shooting percentage with 62 shots on that. I find that funny.
I wonder how many of those are blocked.
That could be,
or at least we're like low on the ice.
Or for Konechny, how many times he hits the post this year, or just how many times he misses the net.
Look, the amount of times Konechny has missed the net or hit the post is unbelievable.
Like I do like Konechny, yes, has frustrated me like over the past couple of years too. He's because we've seen him before be a really good player. I'm not sure if it's Alain Vigneault's system that just really screwed him up, or that bubble really screwed him up in his head.
I think it's all of it combined.
He's not confident in himself. I just don't, because like he has these good starts to the year where he's scoring goals, but then as the season goes along, he just can't find it. I just don't understand, because he did it last year too when he had the hat trick against Pittsburgh. He scored in those first couple of games. Now he just can't do it. He hasn't scored since November 18th. It's been almost at this point 2 months since he scored. So it's I don't know what the issue is. That like you said, it could be a mix of everything. Alain Vigneaul's system screwing him up. He's still not confident from his time in the bubble, not scoring goals. I have no idea what it is, but it's just Konechny's so the rest of the team is really frustrating right now. Because a lot of these guys on this team can be a lot better than what they are. They've shown it in the past. I just don't know what the problem is. I just don't know.
I don't either. I mean, what aggravates me is like he has those games where he looks fantastic and he can't hit the net, and then he has those games where he looks like he can't even. He's like struggling to even like skate or even hold his stick or like make a play, like, and it's nothing against him or anything like that. Like, I like Konechny and I don't want to give up on him, and I don't want to give up on a guy like Sanheim either. But I think it was pretty clear the Flyers could have traded him, and Elliot Freeman had even said that they didn't give up on him. They told him that they could have traded him and they didn't, and they're still trying to find the way to kind of use him. He's played with a lot of guys, and they've used him a good amount on the power play. And even in the beginning of the season, they had him on the bumper spot in the power play. And the amount of times they tried the Giroux on the right side down to Couturier in front of Konechny in the bumper, and the shot went high, was a lot. And especially in the first month of the season and throughout the beginning of November. And then when they switched to the power play units for absolutely no reason. Remember that when they just did that randomly? Yeah, it just I don't know if it's a confidence thing, because I feel like in the last handful of games he's been one of their better forwards 5-on-5. Like he's been, especially in the San Jose game, that line, the Frost, Konechny and Lundblom line was really good, and they scored the goal. They had Konechny had a really nice pass over to Frost. That was a great setup the entire way. but I feel like when he's playing the way he can play and when he can kind of get at guys, that's when he's kind of playing at his best, but he's just not finishing. He's not getting the bounces. But I feel like once Konechny gets one, he's going to get like 10 or 12. You know what I mean? It's all going to go in for him then. So tonight is a night.
So I don't want to cut you off right here, but like Chris Dunn in the chat. I don't want to say I don't like start off with saying Chris because it's not you, it's Chris in the chat saying like so the comment right here saying Oscar, Hayes, Brown are all worthless, slow motion players. JVR trade to anyone would help us rebuild. But the one thing I would disagree with you there, Chris, right now, Hayes is just like you can't say he's worthless right now. He's coming literally off.
None of the guys are worthless that you mentioned.
Honestly, these like Brown has been one of their better players.
Yeah, Brown's been great in the last handful of games.
Hayes is coming off
game. Him and McEwen have been great.
Yeah, Hayes is coming off of 2 core muscle surgeries. I don't know what do you expect from him.
There's nothing to expect from Hayes.
Yeah, you can't. And Oscar, he's like, it's been disappointing for him this year, but it's also the Flyers aren't putting him in a better position to succeed. But Lindblom definitely has been better since AV got fired. That's something to state there.
100%. And none of those guys are worthless either. I mean, if you really nobody on the team is worthless.
JVR is probably probably the most frustrating guy on this team. Wait, did you say Hayes is too old? Hayes is not even 30.
Oh, I gotta look at this now.
Hayes is not even 30.
Hayes is like 28.
Yeah, he's 29 years old. He's not even 30 yet. That's not too old.
So I don't know.
I don't know where you're getting the too old from. I'm not sure if you're just pointing to Hayes as that point, but Hayes at this point, like you shouldn't expect as much from him coming off of 2 core muscle surgeries. I wouldn't expect anything from that player to do anything successful. It's even a miracle that he's even playing from off of those 2 surgeries, and especially everything.
Dude, can we please talk about this whole thing of like
the line A?
This guy could have been a Flyer. Like it doesn't matter who it is. If it's line A, if it's Maher.
Wait, plays like he's 40 the past 2 seasons. Hayes was one of their best players last year. He was probably one of their more consistent players last year.
Yeah, he was. He was up there as one of the guys who was at least most consistent throughout the year. He wasn't great.
Kevin Hayes in terms of points, he was their second best player. JVR 43 points, Hayes at 31.
Yeah, and with everything Hayes has done and everything he's going through, the 2 core muscle surgeries, losing his brother, all that, he's got 15 games. He's got 8 points, which isn't horrible. I know he's a -10, but I'm sure the minuses aren't great because their goal differential is not good because they haven't really been scoring. And he was also -5 in the Kings game, and so was JVR. So that's another thing.
Going back to the
again, you can't expect anything from Hayes this year. You just can't.
That's the problem. Well, it definitely is a problem if Hayes is your second best player because yes, it does showcase that there's problems throughout the lineup. But like saying
the only good move was not Atkinson. That's just not true.
Like saying that
you can't even really sit here and say any of the moves were only good because we haven't seen Ellis. So has the Ellis move boded well for Patrick or Myers? Because Myers just got his first point the other night and has only played 13 games.
He's only played 13 games this year.
And Patrick has played about 4 and he's been injured the entire year. So if you want to look at it that way, I don't think it's going well for either team.
It's funny. I think still at the end of the day, I make that trade.
I'd still make that trade. Still, dude, Jason Martinez, one time I asked him and he was like, dude, I make that trade every day and twice on Sunday. I was like, yeah, that's perfect because that's what I would do too.
It's going back to the Line A thing. Like, yeah, Line A could have been a Flyer, but honestly, if you're looking at this point, Line A probably would have hated Alain Vigneault. He probably would have. If he hated John Tortorella, he would have hated Alain Vigneault.
Amedeo, and we could have been Penguins fans. That's how I look at that. It's like to me, and it's nothing against you, Ryan, but like that whole entire argument of like this could have been, I don't like it at all. I think it's one of the dumbest things in sports when everybody's like, oh, well, this could have happened or this could have happened. It could have. Yeah, it could have. You're right. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing else to me that wants to sit there and be like, oh well, they could have did this, they could have did that. Any other team could have got Carter Hart in the draft. You know what I mean? And everybody still wants to sit there and be like, oh well, they didn't get the Brinket. Oh, why did we take Caulfield? Like Caulfield's not lighting it up right now with the Canadians. And if I remember correctly, he was sent down to the AHL this season. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, oh, woe is me. We could have had this. We could have had that. Like, now the one thing I will say is developing prospects. That's the problem because they haven't had the guys that, not many of the guys that they've taken, especially centers. A lot of the guys that they've taken did not
develop into anything.
Yes, they just did not develop into anything.
And that's the one thing that I do have an issue with Hextall's drafting.
Who said Ellis was Paul Coffey?
I'm not even paying attention to that comment. The one thing I do have an issue with Hextall's drafting, I felt like a lot of the players that he drafted, it's not like some of the players that are on the team right now. Yeah, I'll call those more successes because they had become mainstays into the lineup, but I think a lot of his picks were more focused on, like, especially the center picks were a lot of, safe picks, two-way forwards and everything like that. I think Hextall really didn't focus on guys that just had, that high upside to where, yeah, he has some flaws here, but he also has a high upside here. I felt like he tried to stay towards, just those safe two-way forward type of picks. And that's like Rupstov, like he really didn't have that high of an upside. I feel like his ceiling was at least a third line center, if you know what I mean. Like guys like Vorobiev, he didn't turn into anything.
But that's the thing though, with Rupstov, I disagree because like he was lighting it up in the AHL and he's just been killed with injury. That's the other thing. It's also bad luck because a lot of the guys got hurt. Like I believe Fazlev, the big center, Radel Fazlev, I think he was hurt for a while. Igor Zerduk was hurt, and he was a very good, flashy Russian winger. I'm trying to think of some of the other centers that they had gotten.
LeBurge, Pascal LeBurge. Like I know that was an unlucky scenario there, but
yeah, like it's just not. It's just so unfortunate because a lot of the guys could have developed into something, and some of the guys are developing in certain ways. But
I think the one pick that just truly hurts this team is the Patrick pick. Yes, that was a very unfortunate circumstance with Nolan Patrick. It just hurts because the guy just if he had attitude issues or anything like that, the guy just couldn't stay healthy.
No.
It's still having that issue for Vegas. Like that is the one pick that truly hurt this team. In my honest opinion, it was the Patrick pick.
Yeah.
Like I'll give credit to
Hextall. All of it, they've gotten Carter Hart. So
I'll give credit to Hextall. The one thing that he did do was really bring in a lot of the good goaltending prospects for this team, which is
rebuilding is not doing anything for them. I'm sorry. We're basically going to sit here and watch another 4 years of this if you want to rebuild. So that's what that's going to be. It's going to be another 3-4 years of the same mediocre hockey with a lineup probably similar to this one. If you want to rebuild the one for tonight's game, similar to that, and that's what you want to play with every night. I'm sorry, but you don't make those trades for Ryan Ellis and you go out and you get guys like Ristolainen to rebuild the next season. That's just stupid to me.
But I'm just like the one thing I'm talking about with the question right there, like making excuses for what? I'm not making excuses for anyone. We've been saying this team has been playing like shit the entire time. Like that's not
I know. I love when people do that. Like they want to make it like that we're like that we sit here and we say that they're the Flyers are great. They're playing so well. Like we haven't been shitting on them for the past basically the last 3 months because of how bad they've been playing. Like it just gets old when you sit there and you cover this team constantly and you have to deal with, it's an excuse. It's not an excuse. Like to sit there and say that COVID is an excuse when the entire league is dealing with it, and we understand that, is ridiculous because it's not an excuse. I mean, they're dealing with it regardless of the roster, who they have on the team. It's a part of what's happening, and it's probably the reason that they are losing games because they don't have NHL regulars playing the game. And it's not an excuse. And I'm just objectively saying that that is part of the reason why they are probably losing these games, because they don't have these guys in the lineup. They're still dealing with the trickle-down effect of the old system from the old coach who's not here anymore. And they're still trying to put everything together. And regardless of how anybody wants to say that this is an excuse, because as Mike Yo just mentioned, they've only had 3 full practices since he's been here. So there's that too. So I don't know what they do, but they've been injured. They've dealt with COVID. They dealt with a new coach. They dealt with 400 million different things. And this is even going back. And that's just this season, by the way. And even going back to last season when everything was bad. So, again, I don't really know what to say. That's a quick rant, but moving on.
And like, I think this is like the better comment right here, talking like Jason says, like, there's going to be a time where if like say, yes, if this does continue over, like, yes, like I can understand that. I can definitely do. Yeah, the Ducks were
missing 2 guys, 2 regulars, Zegras and Getzlaff. 2 regulars, Zegras and Getzlaff. The Flyers were missing Drew, Provorov, Ellis, Couturier. Walton came back off his first game back. No Brassard.
Technically.
Yeah. So they were not missing more regulars.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I can I hate coming at you guys in the comment section, but yes, we're all
and again, I'm not trying to be a
like, we're not trying to be assholes,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No.
like we're as frustrated as the rest of you here.
And it's just it becomes even more frustrating when you have to watch the game. You know what I mean? When it's like, I'm trying to figure out how to describe it, but it's like when you have to cover it and you know that they're playing bad. It's not fun, and it all doesn't bode well.
Well, Chris, for your also, yeah, Zamula is playing tonight, so
Mhm.
there is something to that standpoint from your
Yeah,
statement. So
he's playing with Ristolainen.
yep. So
That's a big pairing.
yeah, that is a big pairing, honestly.
Oh my God.
I wonder how that will go well. And I guess the one thing that I want to leave this thing off, it's not a Flyers point, but I saw a tweet yesterday from Sportsnet. It was a GIF. I think it was when Edmonton was playing Toronto, and they said Jack Campbell with the backstroke save. And I don't think Jack Campbell really made the impressive save. The shot right here went into his legs. Wait, I want to bring this tweet up too, just so you guys know what I am talking about. So if I bring up this tab right here, so if I bring that into the chat for a quick second. So if you see this little GIF right here, so Jack Campbell with the backstroke save, the shot was kind of terrible. And everyone in the comment section of this post was just like, you might want to think of that again.
Yeah, I really just don't know why he even tried to pass that. Like, how do you not just turn and shoot that puck? Like, his head is down the entire way, not even realizing that the net is wide open. I don't get it.
I don't know either, but there are so many questions about this team that we don't have the answers for. No one really has the answers for. And yes, it's probably right now going to continue being a really frustrating time for the rest of the season. We just don't know. At this point, you just got to take it day by day. And that is the only thing you can do right now. I know all Flyers fans right now are frustrated. And it sucks. It does suck. I'm frustrated. Chris is frustrated. Everyone here in this comment section is frustrated. Everyone on Twitter is frustrated. It's very understandable to be so. But right now, take it day by day. That's all you can do. If you want to stop watching this team, I don't blame you. I know some people have stopped watching them. And who knows with the attendance. I feel like Saturday is going to be weird with attendance because, you know, the Eagles playing the Dallas that same night. I know the Flyers start an hour earlier, but still, I know the Wells Fargo Centers put an announcement saying the Wells Fargo Center parking lots are going to be reserved for Flyers parking only. Mm-hmm. So Eagles fans can't park there. Yeah. So it just sucks. And I know this game tonight's going to suck. I'm not sure. I know the 5-day period for the quarantine is up technically on Saturday for Giroux and Provorov, so who knows if they even play on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But that's something we got to wait to find out until that happens.
Kenneck being Sanheim will be back Tuesday, would be my guess.
That's what because I think their 5-day quarantine is up Sunday or Monday, I think.
Yeah, and they play Tuesday against Carolina, so that should be fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, day by day. Day by day. That's all we got to take it at this point. So thank you, everyone, for joining this episode of the Flyered Up podcast. Don't forget to check us out everywhere, even with the Painted Lines that we're streaming on right now. Check out their YouTube, social medias, and everything. Check out our separate social medias for me and Chris on Twitter. Check out our separate YouTube pages, TTP Sports and Flyers Fan Mania 93. Also, a link to the Flyered Up Pod merch website. That'll be down in the description below. If you want to check any previous podcasts or anything, there'll be down in the description below. And also, you can check us out on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts at. This live stream will be up there as soon as this ends. So if you missed it, definitely go check it out on the recorded version. So thank you, everyone, for joining this edition of the Flyered Up podcast. Hopefully tonight is not too frustrating, just hopefully. So we will see you next time. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia. He is Chris Maher, and pray to the Flyers tonight.